G'day and welcome to another video. In today's lesson we're going to learn how to make this really pretty necklace. It can be worn in two different styles, well actually there's more than that, and I'll show you in just a moment how you can wear them. It is super easy to do and it is very beginner friendly. As long as you know how to do a chain, we learn how to use our beads at the same time. So let's get started on the lesson. For our supplies, we're going to need a range of items for today's project. We're going to need a pair of scissors. We're going to need a needle, this is a sharp needle, or sewing needle that will thread your cotton. My cotton is just on a cone, as you can see here. It's quite thin. This is the label that it came with. This was just really cheap at what you might call a dollar store or a $2 shop. What you might call it here. I'm sure this was only about $1.50. So it was either of those prices. So just turn that around. This is what we have. It's what an Australian would call a 4-ply cotton, but you might call it it would be a fingering weight if you're in America. But something that is quite fine. You can see here that the crochet hook that it recommends is obviously quite small. So it is quite fine. It's recommending a 2.5mm crochet hook. Personally, I've found that too small to work with. Like, I'm not used to working with small crochet hooks and thinner yarns. So I'm going to be using a 3.5mm or an E size crochet hook. These are my Clover crochet hooks. As you can see, it's well used. It's actually a little bit dirty. A great tip to clean your crochet hooks is just get a baby wipe or some washing up liquid and some water, and you can just wipe it over and it comes up really clean, which is what I need to do with this one. But these are my Clover crochet hooks. I love my Clover crochet hooks. If you would like to purchase your own, there is a link for these in the description box. It's an affiliate link, so if you make a purchase I get a little bit of a commission. Helps keep my video tutorials and written patterns going. And I have a range of beads here. What you need is beads that are going to fit over the needle and also over 2 strands of yarn, because you've got to thread your needle. Some of these wouldn't fit, so for instance some of these, is it silver lined beads? I'm not sure what you call those. Some of these, the little hole was so small I couldn't get them on the needle, but then other ones in there fit, so obviously there are slightly different sizes in there. I've got these things, I don't even know where these came from. I think they're like little divider things, they sparkle, so I thought they were cute. These are all glass beads, by the way, and these are just like crackle beads. They've got sparkly bits in the middle. There was a range of style beads in this one. Some don't fit on the needle and some do. So that's, I don't know, I've had these for years and years and years. They've just been in my stash. These are also those silver lined beads, you can see there. And that one's just another one of that selection of beads that I've got. And I found these beads the other day. These are the only ones I've purchased recently for this project, and I thought they were really cute. As you can see, all in my favourite colour. So all these beads were literally just what I'd had in my craft room, apart from the ones in this little container here. So it can be a reasonably cheap project. You could buy wooden beads, you could buy plastic beads. You don't need too many. The amount that you need depends on how many you want on your project. So we're going to thread our cotton, as you can see there. We've threaded that. And we're going to thread all of our beads on in the order that we want them. As you can see, I've just randomly selected beads and just threaded them on. So these move reasonably easy. Some of them don't, but you can push them along quite easy, as you can see. So I've got my yarn, or my cotton, in this project. It is still attached to the ball. I have not cut my yarn or anything. It is still attached to the ball, and this way what we do is we thread our beads on. So we want to thread our beads on first, so I'm just going to, I'm sure you know how to do that, but just thread them onto your needle and push them down. You can see these ones are fitting quite well. I will come across some that don't. That one fitted on. Some that may not fit. Like I said, they're all different shapes and sizes, and I already know which ones pretty much fit, so. But it was these seed beads, I think they're called, that were being the tricky ones. But they were not fitting on properly. These ones went on quite well. This cotton is quite thin, so you shouldn't have too much of a problem putting the beads on, as long as they're obviously a good size. I don't know if these ones fit. Yep, those ones fit on. But yeah, you just keep threading them on until you get to what you need to have on there. And I'm going to show you how many I have done. It is quite hard to thread them on once you start your project. So you want to thread on more than what you think that you need. So you can see here that I have quite a lot threaded onto my cotton. I already did this off screen. I actually did it last night before I started this video. And you can see them all there. They look so pretty. But what we're going to do, we're going to actually space them out. I mean, you could just make a necklace like this. I was looking at that last night thinking, well, I've just made a necklace. All you got to do is tie your cotton off. But we're going to add some crochet into our beaded necklace because, well, this is a crochet channel. So once you've got them all threaded on, I would say there's probably 100 beads on there. They're all different sizes. You can see a big one there. All different they are. So what we're going to do is we're going to push them down. Some of them don't move freely and some do for me. These blue ones, you can see they move quite freely. That one a little bit, but these seed beads are a little bit harder, so you do need to push them along. And we're going to push them along and we're going to pull out quite a bit of cotton, because as we go, we're going to crochet. I'll pull this along. We're going to crochet and it's going to take up all the cotton, so you'll be surprised how much cotton you're going to need to pull out. I've already pulled some out up the other end, so I'm just showing you how to do this. So I'm just grabbing my beads and just pushing them along, and eventually they'll meet up with the other ones. Just do it in small sections, it's quite easy to do. And I'm just going back to the beginning. Trying not to make them hit the backdrop and make lots of noise. So just keep going. Like I said, you're going to need quite a bit of cotton. You can see there I've got quite a bit. So once we've done that and they're all pushed to one end, it'll be the end that's closest to your ball. We're going to start our project. So we want to pull our needle out and we want to put that somewhere safe so we don't end up stabbing ourselves. We've all done that. I know I have. I actually did it last night. We want to make a slip knot in the end of our yarn. You can do this any way that you make yours. So you might need to experiment with different size crochet hooks, and that's what I did last night. When I used the one that was recommended for my cotton, I personally found it too small. This is not going to be tight crochet, so you don't really need it really tight. But you're just going to make chains, and this is why it's a beginner friendly project. So we're going to make our chains, and then you're going to grab a bead. We want to grab a section of beads. I'm going to grab, say, that many, however many that is, and I'm going to pull these up to where we are working. And you're going to think, well, why didn't you tell me that before? Well, to be honest, I forgot. But you're going to push these along as you go. So you only want a small section there so you can push them along as we crochet. So just pull them out a little bit so you've got a bit of cotton to work with. And we're going to grab this bead here. So our first bead, we're going to push him up. And we're going to make it snug up against the crochet hook and against the yarn there. So we're going to grab that again. And we're going to grab, we're just ignoring the bead, we're just continuing on working our chain. So we're going to pull that through. And then make a chain. You can evenly space them, or you can just make them random. You'll notice I did 3 at the start, I think I did, and then I just did 4. So I'm not really counting, I'm just doing them random. I'm going to grab another bead, going to pull it up. And again, do your chains however many you want to do. Grab your bead, pull it up. So some of them are smaller, as you can see, than the others. And you can see they've already snuck up on us, so we can just grab those and pull those across. And then continue on. Grab a bead, pull it across. Oops. See how they're all sneaking up again? That's why we didn't want to pull up too many beads at once. And we're just going to continue in this manner until we get to the length that we want. Now this will depend on how long you want your necklace. Everyone's different. You could make it really, really long, and then we can double it over or triple it or keep going, depending on how long you've got yours. But yeah, you can really just keep going as well, as long as you've got enough yarn. You can just keep going for as long as you want, or as short as you want. So you can see all the beads are all just sneaking up now. They're all sneaking along. So we're going to push them along. And then just sort of work with a few I've got there at a time. Whoa. I'm all thumbs because I have not filmed in about 10 weeks, or actually probably more like 3 months. I've been away in England and this is the first time I'm filming coming back. And it was lovely and warm there as summer, but it's winter here at the moment in Australia, so it's quite cold. So I'm making this necklace to remind me of the lovely warm weather that we had in England. Okay, so I'm sure you get the idea. We're just going to continue doing that through the whole necklace. You can see here it's starting to take shape. It's looking cool already. So continue on and I'll meet you when we are ready for the next stage. I have finished mine and it is approximately 2.6 meters long. So that is quite long. And we have two options here. We can, where's the end? We can join it and it will be a continuous circle, or we can finish it off, and I'm going to do the finishing off technique. So what we're going to do is do the same amount of chains that we did the other end. So I did 3 to start with. I'm going to cut my yarn, and I'm just going to pull. Oh, I'm twisted, sorry guys. Here we go. I'm just going to pull that through. And that is our project finished. Now, I don't know about you, but that took me about 15-20 minutes, I would say. Not very long at all. So in total, it probably takes you about half an hour by the time you thread your beads on and everything. So I'm just going to trim my ends so that they are the same length. What you could do is tie that in a knot so that it is joined. You could also slip stitch. So what you could have done, your yarn would still be attached and you would slip stitch, so you would go into that very last chain, first chain, sorry, there, and then you would have that on there. You would slip stitch into that last stitch, and then you would slip stitch and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through. That's if you want to join it. You can slip stitch it together at the end, but you could just tie it in a knot if you wanted to. But I'm going to leave my ends open, and I'm going to show you different styles on how you can wear it. So this is if you have joined your ends together. This is actually being filmed in sun. I don't usually do that, but I wanted to see if the beads would sparkle. I know that this one here is a very sparkly bead, so I'm just hoping it shows up in the video. So you can see how where they look in the sun. So you can wrap around your neck as much as you like. I've literally just stitch marked the back together. Where is it? It's on this side. I've just put a stitch marker in there so I can show you what it looks like when it's wrapped around. Here's a different way you can wear it, and I've taken the stitch marker out, so this is just one length. Is not joined at all. Is I've doubled it over, and the ends are just left loose. Double it over, and then grab your long section and just pull it through the loop. And then you just let it hang. And you can tighten that up as much as you want, or you could double it over even more and make it a shorter one. This wind, I'll tell you what, you can't feel it, but it's freezing cold. So I'm going to go inside and make myself a cup of tea. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. It was a lot of fun to make. I loved all the beads coming along as I was crocheting. It was lots and lots of fun. And it's great that you have so much selection of different colours and everything. So yeah, make sure you share a video. Make sure you share a Make sure you share a photo on our Facebook page or tag me on Instagram. It's okay. This is the closest that I've ever been to this one. She's normally very, very shy. She must be very hungry. Hey, buddy. Hello, I see your baby. She's so cute. Oh, what happened? Thanks for watching. Until next time, happy crochet.